Welcome to Dear Alice, a lifestyle approach to interior design.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Dear Alice. Today is going to be the funniest podcast by Cori, Sue, and I in the history of Dear Alice. We got an amazing listener question in.
Yes.
That has inspired today's podcast.
Yep. It is from Erin Bells. Thank you for the question,
We
by the
hear
way,
you.
Erin.
Yes.
She wrote in and asked, throughout your many years of working on residential projects, how do you see family portraits fitting into your interior design?
Such a good question.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into it in a little bit, but
We do have, we found out that we have strong opinions about this.
Incredibly.
yeah.
But I do want to say that we all grew up in a time when mothers only decorated in family photos.
Mhm.
Like maybe you would buy art if it was meaningful to you or if it was handed down, but mostly they're just investing in the family photo in a big way and getting it framed just so to match the decor.
Especially our culture, I feel
Yeah.
like, in Utah.
Uh-huh.
like we
I
had
don't know,
Jesus
yeah.
and stretched canvases, like majority of the homes, I think,
100%.
like have that.
Yeah.
And only that, right?
Jesus and family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the
Which
more
is the
important
best.
things.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Whatever your values are, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, guys, we need to talk about the family photo. And today I have a question for the two of you.
Let's hear it.
Moms love matching. So I want to know, what has been your least favorite dress code for a family photo that you participated in? And I also want to discuss other sins in the name of family photos
Okay.
that you remember from years
Aw.
past.
Do you want me to go first?
I was supposed to say listeners. Like,
No, I
get
want
ready.
Suzanne
Okay.
Hall to go first. Suze has visuals for you. So those of you that
So many.
want to see Suzanne Hall as a child, which if I could for 1 minute have you, Suzanne, describe for the folks you as a child. Because you
No
need
one
to
happier.
you need to describe for them what they're about to see, or give them a little teaser so that maybe they'll want to hurry and pop over to Spotify and both listen and watch at the same time, or watch on YouTube.
If you're listening to this, you're going to want to go back. And if you don't have time to like stop and like see a visual, do it later. These pictures are worth it.
And
Worth it, my friend.
Also, you're welcome in advance.
Yes.
And
yeah.
thank you, Provo Grandma, Mom,
Absolutely.
for capturing this not only in like a single exposure, but a double exposure.
Do you guys remember, speaking of sins in the name of family photos, do y'all remember the double exposure?
I never did this. I never got one of my. Now I kind of wish I did, because it looks like you're like on. That's Star Wars art to me.
No, I'm
You know
like,
what I mean?
I'm famous.
Yeah.
It's like she's Taylor Swift in
I'm
concert. There's a
daydreaming.
big one behind her
Yep.
and a little one in front of her.
daydreaming.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where am I looking? Am I looking at you or am I looking at him?
I love it's
Nobody
two
knows.
different photos too. So it's like this was, you know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, that's serious, looking off into the distance, and
Those-
then the hand placement.
Those of
too.
you
I mean,
listening,
come
we're
on.
holding up a picture of Sue Hall as how old are you?
I don't even know. I feel like I had no time or age. I just like am.
You're ageless. You're an ageless beauty.
Because I look like an old woman, but somehow,
Guys, you're a toddler.
somehow,
Guys, Suzanne's not unpacking this quite the way I want her to.
I'm so sorry.
So I'm just going to set it
probably
up.
say, should we
Okay.
say I'm 3?
Suzanne is 3. Also,
I'm 3.
I'm just going to say this really quick. Suzanne Hall was a surprise to her parents at the very end of her family. She came how many years after?
6 years later, they were all like 2, 2, 2, 2, and then there was like a pause, and then the pleasant surprise of Suzanne came.
Yes.
I
Yes.
saw.
Uh-huh.
Yes, and yeah, and boy, are they lucky. What would they do? What would they do without that face?
I guarantee you were like always the energy in the room, though. You were just
Still
I mean,
is.
yeah,
Still is.
exactly,
Suzanne's husband calls her the fun all the time girl.
Mhm.
Fun all the time, girl.
And I will say, in
Yeah.
every family photo we're about to show you, Suzanne Hall, she is the party sitting on someone's lap, and she's the star of the show.
So
you
true.
guys.
Yes, and the costumes that your mom is putting you in for these family photos
Oh my gosh.
are the thing of podcasts
Guys,
are made
I
of.
was
So this
thick,
is
too.
podcast gold.
Like,
Go ahead and
I wasn't-
describe.
okay.
Go ahead and describe your what do they
Yeah.
call it? Your BMI,
Yeah, no, body mass index.
her body
Definitely
mass
was high.
index.
I definitely had high. My grandma would say, "Oh, it's because my mom used to do like the legal typing for like courthouses and stuff," and she's
Yeah.
like, "It was because your mom was always typing that you just had to watch TV, and I think that's how you got so big." Is what grandma would tell me. Anyway, yeah, I was a plump little one. I just like held on to those calories. You guys, I actually remember like sneaking into the fridge. Kid you not, like to get like snacks and like.
What,
no
do you
one was
remember? Do you have
looking.
a memory of what you were snacking on?
Our house like made a circle, so when everybody would be in the TV room, I would sneak around into the fridge. Who knows? Like probably just anything. I think I had a scarcity mentality also from like being the youngest. That like all my teenage brothers and sisters were just gonna like scalp the place, and then I'd be left with nothing. So I had to like gather the ranks and like get back up, you know. And so probably anything. I remember. Let's see, we had a lot of top ramen, and we made a lot of French fries.
Did you do top ramen just like not cooked? Did you ever do that?
Oh no,
Okay,
no,
yeah.
I wasn't.
But this little girl wouldn't be able to make her own top ramen. So what do you think she's snacking on? Just nuts and berries from the pantry?
Oh no, those are old school Doritos right there.
Oh yeah,
I remember that.
That was Doritos. That's
Capri
probably
Sun,
some like
probably.
Kraft mac and cheese.
Yeah,
Probably a lot of sugary juices in
Yeah.
those cheeks. I guarantee you.
I love this.
And probably candy. And actually, we would walk down the street we lived in California in like this ghetto neighborhood, and we would go down to the Mexican market or T's, which is this like funny little Asian, like you can think of like quintessential LA, like the little Asian owned like drugstore, and just like all the candy would take all of our penny candies and we'd like just collect it
100%.
put them all in our pockets.
We did that too. We would steal the change in my dad's change situation.
Shoot, anyway, so I was well fed, well nourished, and so darn happy. And the costumes, which my mother would put me in, and not only the costumes, I would say that because I was the youngest and because she was probably so tired, that my haircuts were always a bowl cut, just a sweep of a thing, especially for a special occasion like this picture shows, where it would just be like a soft sway. A soft sway to the left.
It's a feather.
Right. Yeah.
Do you guys remember the 80s?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Suha was born in the vintage year of 1983.
Sure was.
And a lot of feathering was happening. If you don't believe me, look up Farrah Fawcett's photos and know that Suzanne's mom was probably going for that feathered look in this image.
Like that would be the most flattering for her face shape.
Yes.
Anyway. So yeah, she would always put me in like just a gunny sack of a thing.
Do you guys,
Velvets.
y'all remember
laces.
Jessica McClintock gunny sack dresses?
No, I don't.
Well, you're a boy, and so
Yeah, that's
you
why.
probably
And I didn't have any sisters.
and you didn't have any
so-
sisters, but I guarantee your mom had one. And
yeah.
it was like the dress of the 80s. It had a puffy sleeve. It was like a floral or a small print.
I know exactly what you're talking
See, it
about.
had a yoke.
There was like satin and
It had a
lace
yoke,
and
yeah.
all
Yeah,
the
there was
things.
some sort of like fringe.
Some sort of collar, which my mother would, she went through a big collar phase. We called it her tablecloth because it would just be so huge.
She's so petite too.
I know.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Take up her whole
So
torso.
huge. And the collar's buttoned off so you could then put it on a different dress.
Did you call it that then? Like you knew it was?
Yeah, and they were
Okay.
Battenberg lace.
Jesse, go get my collar.
The multiple collars that mom had. Sorry, mom. Shout out to you. Anyway, so yeah, there was always. Oh, do you see? I'm gonna hold up one of
Hold
Suha.
on.
See this? She's wearing a tablecloth over
gorgeous.
Okay,
as
there
a
we go.
collar.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of bibbish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're talking. The question was, what has been your least favorite dress code for family photos? And Suhal made a really funny comment about the dress code, and whenever you guys went up for family photos.
Yeah, for sure we weren't wealthy enough to match. Like she was just like, put on your best dress, kids.
Yeah.
Show up here at 2.
So just best dressed was the theme for
Do you
the
guys
family
remember
photo.
photographers? They would actually come to the house sometimes, and then they would put up a backdrop, and they would do a little old snap. I don't know if that was like a discounted code to like just slap it in brick and mortar, but anyway, we were remote, so yeah.
Sounds expensive.
We never matched.
It's like having your masseuse come to you.
Not a once.
Not a once. But they all wore their best outfit and freshly combed hair. And that is what you get. And that's actually the cutest family photo I've ever seen.
It is really funny. And like just that modeled, like painterly background. It's so funny. Gosh.
So
They're
funny.
so funny.
So
Okay.
best dressed was the code,
Best dressed was the code.
that your parents would have.
Slick your hair back.
I think this might be a good one too.
Oh,
Is this?
yes, that's a really good one. Let's do that one. Okay, mom brought out the lightning bolts for this one. Provo grandma, your hair was extra voluminous. You were like caked with the physician's formula on your face, and you're looking snap like a.
These
a
are
snack.
all these were all in your home growing up.
How would your
Okay.
mom display the family
Yeah.
photos in your home growing up, Sue?
They for sure were printed. Yeah,
Just
I don't think they were
Printed on paper. Were they put behind glass, or was it like a textured paper and just a frame?
I think this was before like the stretch canvas era, so this was like probably like printed paper
Yeah.
and like a frame with like a large mat to make it appear larger, but it was less expensive to print off the small paper. So yeah, that's how my family would do it. But like my mom had friends and stuff that would do like big big things. Like when we think of like family portraits,
yes,
we think of like the matching outfits and like the denim on denim. We think of all these things, and they're like, they were ready to boast these things, like big time above the fireplace.
Like they were like the Romneys.
No, and they came ready to show off. That's for sure. And they would print them. And that's the funny thing too, is that they would do it every year. And so they would just like have just this concourse of like photos down the hallways and up the stairs. And
like
I think a lot of families did. I remember like around us that like, again, that's all they had for their walls was family photos.
Also, a lot of things people would do is then use the family photo for their Christmas card.
Oh, yes.
And they had to send a Christmas card out every year.
Yeah.
So it was a constant run of updating family photos. And then by the time you get it back from the photographer and then go and get it framed, then really you've only got about 7 months while that image is current on your wall before you go at it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then someone got their braces off or, like life events. They just become like, they changed instantly, which is fun because it's like a little locked portion of time, which is really, really fun. And that's what we do want to talk about, displaying it correctly. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they just changed. I think my mom still right now has a family photo where I have like one kid. Like it was when Nolan was a baby. And like still, I'm like, so 2 children like are forgotten. Unless it's on the digital picture frame.
Guarantee my mom has the same family pictures that were displayed when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
And I have to say too, like to our moms, to Provo Grandma, to Polly, to your mom, that's probably like their prime. Like they want to remember their kids. And so like if that is you.
Also, I will say,
if that is you. Like
everybody did that. That
sure.
was the gold standard, was like to have a family photo, right?
Yep,
so that was the norm. And I want to say why we feel like today it would be a good thing to do a podcast on this topic is that we noticed in the work that we're doing today that there's not a big family photo above the mantle. There's not the big family photo in the entry, and we're not decorating with family photos anymore. People are purchasing art. And I actually was just watching... Oh, our guest, do you remember our guest, Annie Shire-Meyer?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's
Nancy
Meyer's daughter. Yeah, This Oak House. Somebody had asked her on her feed, and this question came in at the same time. It's like, what do you do with all the family photos? And she said, it's my belief that we don't hang big family pictures on the wall anymore, but the family pictures are perfect for picture frames that go on end tables, on consoles, in built-ins, that because there's so many of them. And when you get the great big one, then pretty soon you have this graveyard in the basement of all these old family photos. And what do you do with all of them? I know my mom has a hallway that just goes back to her primary bedroom. And it's kind of a nice long stretch of hallway. And so she has a lot of the old family photos, which is fun for all the grandkids and like the grandkids that are now young adults to go back and see mom when she was like 16 or some of those, which is kind of a fun moment in a back hallway or back stairwell. But really, there's just so many family photos that don't get to be on display anymore. And it was like your artwork and your investment back in the 80s and 90s was to get these huge family photos made. Yeah. But one thing we've realized with family photos is that they're always out of date. Mm-hmm. Always, like Sue said. Mm-hmm. Her 2 sons aren't even in the family photo. I know we just took a new family photo with our family, and there's 22 grandkids, and there's 6 kids in my family growing up. So now we're all married. So now there's 12 adults plus mom and dad, 14 adults, 30-something, 23 grandkids. It's just so many people.
Someone's bound to blink too,
for a photo. Yeah.
It like an awesome
yeah.
day.
It's a pretty heavy lift to get everybody in one place at one time. And then we snap it. And then within a year, like we've got, and I have a niece that's going to get married and she's going to have a spouse, and they're just always outdated. So I do think that Provo Grandma's solution of the digital picture frame is really, really savvy, right?
I clowned on them for a long time. I remember like when people were like, see this digital picture frame? Like it can just like, it looks like a screensaver from my laptop.
I mean, I think it's cute for grandmas and 100%. Right. I mean, this isn't a great solution for everybody, but for grandmas, they want my mom's entire kitchen, all of her window ledges are full of picture frames with pictures of all of us because she just loves her family and misses us. Mm-hmm. And there's so many, but mom, can you hear me right now? What if you had a digital picture frame?
Oh, there you go.
You guys, you could just have one that's just constantly changing.
Get all your space back.
Yeah.
It is slick for the grandmas out there and like those that love their family and want a digital picture frame. my mom got one, or we got one for her, and we can I have it on an app, and I just upload it and it sends it to her at any point. So if I have new pics of the kids, I can just send it to her from wherever I be. And then she can be seeing those loop. And so she just has this cornucopia of all the images of all of her people.
Hold on.
Yeah. I don't even have to be Bluetooth next to her.
You guys, we live in the future.
The future.
Wow.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Amazing.
Who's coming up with this stuff?
I don't know.
China. It's a really weird logo. But I tell you what, it makes family pictures really, really happy for my mom. And she has that just on a constant loop from all of us. We can all drop our pictures to her.
That's so
Which
cute.
is even more fun because right now we have tens of thousands of pictures on our phone. Right. And they're really cute because our cameras are awesome. We're capturing our kids and our people and moments. And those are the pictures that you want to see.
They're more
them.
candid.
They're more candid. It's a real smile.
Yeah.
It's not a fake painterly. Speaking of the seasons of bad photography, remember the paint cans and the ladders?
Tell them.
Oh my gosh.
Olin Mills.
Olin Mills, y'all. You remember the ones.
Tell them.
Okay. So, yeah. About me and my friend?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Olin Mills, especially when we moved to Utah, that was a big thing here. It was a photography studio, and it probably was everywhere. I don't know. Anyway, but I think my friend got a coupon in it for a free photo session, and we were in 7th grade, and we had just become friends. We just moved from California, and we both were just oh yeah, let's go take our pictures. Meanwhile, I'm wearing clear mascara or something, absolutely such a disheveled mess. Awesome. And we're let's go to that new place, Old Navy just opened up, and let's go get some flannels. And then we'll go take our pictures of Olin Mills. So we do. We go. I get a hunter green and cream one, and she gets a navy blue and cream one, matching flannel. And we go to Olin Mills. Oh, bless our little hearts. Anyway, we take pictures, and I just remember there was just there was a ladder for sure. There's a ladder, and there was probably a paint can and a lot of this.
And probably 1 foot up on a paint can.
You betcha. Totally. And the knee crossed over, and I'm sure the photographer was giving us some really awesome tips on how to look maybe better than we did.
Maybe a hand on a hip.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Leaning
over.
The waistline over the flannel.
I love it.
So just you think about that, and I'm glad I have that memory because it's so damn funny. But that's how full families would operate, with just these matching outfits and trying to get everybody, and for sure permed hair and a lot of ladders and a lot of paint cans.
Do you guys remember the era? Because I'm guilty of this. When we lived in Farmington on Alice Lane, the photographer drug an old tufted sofa into the middle of an apple orchard.
She paid extra for that.
And I wanted it in black and white. Remember the black and white photography era?
Yeah.
Guys, what if
Ann Getty's?
What if that was yes.
Speaking of art that we used to have on our walls.
That's right.
Shit.
Guys, what if that was still hanging on my wall?
Shoot, Mom, sorry.
This is what's
we need
hard.
to see that in this podcast. Can I get that?
I know. It was Adam, me, and Kate. Did we have Jane yet even? I don't know. Anyway, Jane was probably a baby.
Did you have short Disney hair, Mom, yet?
I probably did. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So it was 2006-ish, around there? 2000?
Probably 2000 and... Well, yeah, if Jane was born, because she was 2005. So, yeah, 2006-ish.
That's awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
That's when the sofa and the
there was just a lot of themes with family photos back in the day, and I don't know that anybody has that hanging still today. And so what do we do with family photos, I think, is the question that Erin Bell wrote in. Yep. She's like, what are, throughout the many years of working on residential projects, how do you see family photos fitting into your interior design? Now, we went over to my cousin's house. We just barely did an install over there, and she's in her 50s, and she still loves to decorate with family photos. And so she's doing a huge gallery wall above her entry console, and it's going to be great. I don't love giving away that much information in an entryway to strangers if they come over. Do you know what I mean?
I totally
it's
agree.
Really personal. I think that
especially a solicitor or something like that.
That should be more inside the home where the family's going to gather. But it depends on where your walls are and whatnot. And it's going to be great for her. And maybe there's not as many door-to-door salesmen that come by anymore. And that's really a grand wall. It's 2 stories for her. So it's going to be great. But it did bring up this, and then this question comes in, and we're like, we got to talk about family photos. So the way we see the family photo or the family portraits fitting into interior designs is...
Honestly, the way your mom and dad do it, I think is still a really great way. If you want to print pictures, I think back hallways, I think are really beautiful. That you're constantly, I feel from the mudroom to the kitchen, or from to a private, the primary vestibule. If that is your love language and you want to see your people.
Yeah.
I think that's great. And I think there's so
home
many
office
beautiful,
for mom and dad.
Yeah, I think Framebridge is doing a good job, trying to create consistencies and beautiful frames, like for not a crazy amount to kind of capture these things. But I think it is the candid moments. You can pepper some of the professional photography, but it's not like the stretch canvas anymore.
Yeah.
I think they're more just like beautiful frame with some matte, and just a storytelling session. And we're doing one right now from my mom's like living room to kitchen. She has an old house, but there's this corridor that we just like cleaned up and refinished and got new lights for. And we're doing that. We're doing like, because that's what's the most important to her.
Yeah.
She's like #1 family history scanner person in Utah County. And
Amazing.
so we're going through them all and like trying to figure out what do you want to have around you?
Yeah.
Because that's what's important to her, but it's still in a private area and it's in you want to be close up to these moments.
Yep.
Especially like because they're not a 24x36 stretch canvas. They're more precious. And I think it shows, I think, the preciousness of them when they're not blown up.
Yeah. And when you can get really close with them. So in a hallway is a really great place for the family photo. So you can get up and admire it.
Yeah, a lot of them. And pictures of like her grandmother, or like just different things. So you can be like, oh, you totally have grandma's eyes.
Yeah.
Or you got grandpa's curly hair or whatever.
Cute.
And so I think like telling that story, I think is beautiful. But I think it's a more intimate setting than like in the family room above.
The more private areas of the home and the more public areas of the home are where you're going to do just more general artwork and things that look great in the space, those entries, the living room, right? That kind of thing. And in those spaces, if you want, you're going to put your family photos in maybe a little picture frame that has an easel back on a surface or on a console behind the big sofa or something like that.
Yeah, you can still have your people around you, but I think it's in a more reverent way.
Yes.
And it's not so, so big and boastful. Speaking of big and boastful.
Yes.
Should we talk?
Let's do.
One of our favorites.
Yes.
One of our most favorites. If y'all have seen the show called Schitt's Creek, it's been a gift to us all. And it's so fun to continue to watch on reruns.
100%.
So in the opening scene of the show, they have them sitting in their big mansion with a huge family photo that's nearly life size of the family. And it's just so freaking funny. And it was a hand-painted portrait, right?
Yep.
And they're given the gift of their family portrait back once they move into the hotel or the motel, excuse
me.
me.
Play the clip for everybody.
Yeah, we'll play the
so
YouTube
funny.
short so you can see this. It's so big it doesn't even fit in the room. It's so huge.
In the motel room.
I think this is a little bit of a testament to like how ridiculous this can be. Like if you know what I mean? Like to each their own. If you have a huge one above your fight, but like they put it in this show, a comedy, because it's,
to clown on this total culture.
And it's like, oh man, that's like a taboo thing to do.
So.
You thought a whole lot of yourself to commission that girl. That's
so funny.
A big move, but it's hilarious and it's so funny. And I think that probably anybody listening to this has a story, big or small, of when you had to like all get in a matching outfit and like
that was my
trail over to the photo gallery.
Do you want to hear my story?
100%? Yeah, you.
So I've been trying to think of like what the trade was for, but my mom, when I was like probably 16 years old, really wanted photos of me and my brother. And my brother is 5 years younger than me, so he's 11. When you're 16, I love my brother to death. We text almost every day now. When you're 16, like you don't want to hang out with your 11-year-old brother,
So lame.
So it was like, I think it was, either I was like, wanted to go play a show or I was like going to the movies with friends or something. She's like, you have to do this first. And I was like, oh my gosh. Okay. So of course we go to Old Navy and we have to get matching t-shirts for me and my brother. That means we have to wear that t-shirt and we have to walk through the mall to get to wherever we're going. And I'm just like, oh my hell, please do not see anybody I know. We get to the University Mall in Orem.
Yeah, I can picture it.
To the photo studio, whatever you might call it, and they have multiple, little rooms.
Yeah.
Of course, we get the one that's right up front, in front of the clear glass that everyone can see when you're walking by.
This is when everybody would go to the mall. That's what we did.
This feels like a stand-up skit
gosh,
for
this is
SNL.
so
Literally, I couldn't even believe it. I was like, I didn't feel like myself because I'm in clothes I would never
Probably had
wear.
an American flag like on your chest. I don't know.
Yes.
Who knows?
Old
I don't know.
Navy 2004 or whatever. American flag, and it's like a little rustic.
Yeah.
It was so
Another block.
I wish we had pictures of that to share with the audience right now.
If I can find one, we'll put it
y'all.
on.
Yeah.
And of course
so
they made
funny.
me like lay down, and then my brother's in front of me.
Supernatural.
The girl I was dating at the time
Yes, I'm so excited.
walks
Yes!
in front of happens to just be passing through while I'm on the floor
Stop
taking
it
pictures
some
with my
more.
brother.
That's
And
amazing.
I was so embarrassed.
I can't wait to see your face in that family
Oh my
photo.
gosh. Like my hair wasn't like how I wanted it. When I was a kid, I started riding the bus at 10 years old. My mom would, make me wear whatever clothes. I would put the clothes I like in my backpack. And then when I left, I'd like behind a tree, like change clothes, put the other ones, and then hop on the bus.
You're like Superman back then.
I like desperately wanted my own identity and didn't, and I didn't like that control of the,
of the matching family photo
exactly.
outfit.
You were so cool. I was just hungry. That's why I was sneaky,
So yeah, when the girl I was dating with her brother was walking by, and I think one of her friends, I was so embarrassed. And honestly, whatever I got to do after that, the movie's not worth it. I should have just not done
just
it.
crawled into a hole.
Yeah, I
That's
felt
amazing.
like it, yeah. And
that's an amazing story.
Oh my
it
gosh.
sucked. But so don't embarrass your kids with it. You know what I mean? Like maybe have them take a picture that they would like to be a part of. Before we recorded the podcast, you were like, taking pictures in your home would be really cool.
Yeah.
That was actually the last. I had a buddy of mine who's a photographer. That was the last family photos that we did as a family. It was right after Demi was born.
Yeah.
So 3 years ago, I'd show that one, but I was like literally 20 to 30 pounds heavier than I am now, and I don't.
I think that's why it's so funny. Also to be like, I guess we evolve, right? Hopefully we get better.
That's true.
Yeah.
But it's pretty funny to look back and be like, see where I was.
Mm-hmm.
Slim cat. That's awesome. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
no
so
one likes
good.
their family pictures. Let's just I'll be honest real fast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
But I would say done in a cool
Except
way,
this girl.
in a cool frame,
Yeah.
and then kind of like sprinkled.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
how I appreciate it, and like my own home at least.
I'll say this: when we go to people's homes to work in their built-ins and we're styling, and it's really fun to get their family photos out.
Mm-hmm.
It's a crazy, amazing update when we can even just take them out of these big old frames, because the frames were really thick and chunky and heavy, just even the 2010s versus today, when we can just take those snapshots or 8x10s or whatever is out and slip them into our crystal picture frames, the crystal edge or the crystal orb or whatever their style is, and pop them in. The frames just sort of disappear, and it's really all about the picture, but they still feel really stately, and it's an instant upgrade. Nobody had to get a new picture taken, and they look amazing on the shelf together or on that console paired together. And I just think, it's been the easiest, slickest trick when we're out styling.
Yep.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I love those. And I also really think that things are pretty if they're in a slim wood frame or in like a beautiful like silver frame or something like that, or like a gilver. Golds are fickle. They kind of come and go. But that's what I love about the crystal. It's just so everlasting.
So timeless.
And it does disappear, and it will get along with the other ones if you need to, if you're really going to like layer it up. You know, that sort of like Nancy Meyers or like Ralph Lauren look where you have a console behind a sofa or a sideboard and it's got
littered.
it's just littered with tons of photos.
I love that.
I think that's so classic. And when I think about like a grandma's house, that would be so fun to just pull it forward and put your nose right up against it and stare at these pictures. Because you do want to like, it's intimate, or you want to pull it over to grandma in the kitchen and be like, tell me about this. And she'll be like, that's grandma. She's making pie or whatever. So I do want to say like, family photos are fantastic in frames, and they're mobile, and you can switch that out with it. But then you don't have a whole graveyard of big, huge 40 by 48 family photos in bad frames. Like, where do you do with all of them? It's just a graveyard.
That's a way good point. Is that if you're keeping it smaller in your home, then it's easier to switch out. Yeah, it feels like less of a task. So
totally.
You're like, hey, we're gonna get family photos done again, and then you know what I mean. That makes it seem fathomable, to do.
Yeah. Definitely.
So smart.
Yep. Guys, that is all the advice we have for you on family photos. This is a very personal subject. I honestly wish we were sitting at a table with like 24 of you so we could like have this discussion on it, because
everyone else's funny stories.
Well,
that would be amazing.
Don't you think it would be so fun? And like other examples. So obviously we're just 3 people sitting at a table with our own experiences, but we did want to answer that question, and I feel like it keeps popping up for me. So I felt like it was worth sharing it with you. But yeah, Aaron Bells, thank you so much for the question. If you guys have any questions that you think would be a good podcast topic, please send them to Dear Alice at alicelanehome.com, because we'd love to be able to answer those those for you. But hopefully this episode helps you in your decision on how to best display your family photos. And if you'd like to shop our crystal frames, you can visit alicelanehome.com and check out with Dear Alice 20. You're going to get 20% off just for our podcast listeners. So thanks so much for listening. We're going to catch you guys next week. Hey, thanks for listening. If you like our show, please leave a 5-star rating.